I went through a lot of stages in my minimalist journey. At first, I thought it was all about getting rid of stuff, decluttering my closet, keeping things that spark joy, and living with the essentials. But over time, I realized that barely scratched the surface. Minimalism is about so much more. Today, I want to share the 9 stages of minimalism and reflect on where I thrived and where I struggled. And these are the stages that I went through, and I realize our paths are all different and unique. But maybe while watching this video, you could ask yourself, where do I find myself on my minimalist journey? Stage 1. Discovery. My minimalist journey started in my old apartment. I rented a furnished apartment that came with 2 big old sofas. They weren't comfortable and I didn't like sitting on them. One of them I wasn't using at all. So I asked my landlord if I could replace them and buy a new one. He gave me his okay. And when I sat on this new sofa and the old ones were gone, I just felt so good. I was like, oh, it had just been really weighing on me, these sofas. Around the same time, I watched the minimalism documentary, and it really struck a chord with me. We often buy things because we think it makes us happy, but even if it does, that happiness doesn't last. And I realized I don't need to have all this stuff. And also, just because I brought it into my house doesn't mean I can question why I own it now. Does it still add value to my life, or is it weighing on me and maybe even bringing me down? So then I started to binge watch a lot of Matt D'Avella videos and videos on YouTube by other minimalists. And I also read Fumio Sasaki's Goodbye Things. His journey from a maximalist to a minimalist really inspired me. This was an exciting time. It was as if a light bulb went on in my head and I could see with more clarity now. I realized that all this stuff I own, it felt like it had started to own me. And I wanted to change. Stage 2. First purge. Riding off that wave of excitement, I started going through my drawers, my closets, kitchen items, clothes, like a headless chicken really. I felt inspired by all those clean, minimal apartments that I'd seen online, and I couldn't wait to get started with my own. So I was frantically throwing clothes on the bed and emptying drawers on the board, until I felt... Stage 3. Overwhelmed. This is when reality hit. I have so much more stuff than I thought I did. Where do I even begin when I want to declutter my apartment, and how do I go about it? What about sentimental items? Or what about items that are not sentimental? I don't really know why I have trouble letting go of them, but something inside me is resisting putting them into a box and, getting rid of them. And once I've decided that I want to get rid of a bunch of stuff and I've picked those things, what do I do with them? Do I donate them? Do I sell them? Do I just throw them away? A lot of people give up here. Because now it gets challenging. You have to face your past purchasing decisions, and that can stir up some uncomfortable emotions. Stage 4. Make a plan. What helped me was that I wanted to paint the walls of my apartment. The old sofas had left stains and dirt on the walls, and I wanted a fresh start. So I put everything in boxes to make space for the paint job. And when the painting was done, I sat on my sofa and was like, oh, this feels so good. I really liked how light the place was, and I didn't unpack those boxes for weeks. And then I realized if I wanted to declutter my apartment, I need a plan. There are different methods out there. The KonMari method, the move out method, and the 4-box method. I didn't use any of them though, partly because I wasn't aware of some of them. I just started with all the stuff that I had already put into boxes for the paint job, and then I went from room to room. Marie Kondo teaches to tidy by category, not location. I think this rule makes more sense for couples and definitely for families, but I was on my own at the time. All my clothes were in my bedroom and all my books were in my living room. I also made a plan for what to do with the stuff I wanted to declutter. If I thought I could get $50 or more for an item, I would list it for sale. And if it didn't sell within 4 weeks, I would donate it. Anything I valued at less than $50, I would donate immediately. By the way, if you're new to minimalism and you're watching this video because you're kind of curious of how to go about it, you can download my free How to Get Started with Minimalism checklist in the description below. Stage 5. Declutter. I started with the bedroom. Clothes, bedding, and random items that have been gathering dust in the back of my closet. With each item, I asked myself, does this still add value to my life? And if it sparked joy, even better. But that was not a hard rule, because not everything sparks joy. Financial documents or kitchen appliances, I still decided to keep those because they were valuable to me. But I was careful not to make excuses for keeping items just in case, or because, well, you never know. because that mindset would have gotten me nowhere. After the initial overwhelm, the excitement I felt when I first discovered minimalism returned. This was practical, and I could see the progress happening in front of my eyes. So the bedroom is a bit of a mess right now. I have all these kids' books. A couple of years ago, I had this idea of writing a kids' book myself, so I just went to Amazon and I bought all the bestsellers. And they're really great, like How to Catch a Unicorn, Waiting is Not Easy. I really love this one. This one, it's not really funny, but it's very sweet. What else do we have? Here we got even a gratitude journal for kids. How to Catch a Mermaid. They have this whole series. Like, I was thinking if I can come up with like one good theme, then I can write a whole series like this author does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to donate all these kids' books to parents or people that have better use for it. After I finished with my bedroom, I was like, yes, I can do this. I took the win and I used the momentum to move on to the rest of my apartments. And I reminded myself it doesn't have to happen all in one day. Rome wasn't built in one day, and I didn't accumulate all this stuff in one day either. I can take my time. So instead I focused on being kind to myself and allowing myself time to process any emotions that would come up when I was trying to declutter sentimental items, for example. Over the next few weeks, I decluttered most of my belongings. Countless just-in-case items, and many things that I had stored away out of sight, under the bed, under the sink, or tucked away in a drawer. So I just emptied out this drawer. Well, it's a start, many drawers to follow. What is this even like? I have like this softball and tennis ball. And then one day I was looking around the living room and I thought, I think I'm done. Stage 6, calm. I remember sitting on my sofa after everything was said and done, looking around my decluttered apartment and feeling this overwhelming sense of calm. All this negative space made my living room look so much bigger, and it just made me feel really relaxed. I noticed a sense of spaciousness within myself as well. It was actually kind of crazy because it killed my productivity for a couple of weeks. I was just going about my day very slowly. The empty space created headspace. It reminded me of Fumio Sasaki's silent to-do list. Everything we own has wants and needs it wants to be taken care of. The coffee machine wants to be used to brew coffee, and your TV wants to be used to watch your favorite TV shows on. And each time you see those items, they send those subtle messages to you. It's like a silent to-do list. The more possessions we have, the longer that silent to-do list becomes, and it can quickly start to feel overwhelming. I realized that a decluttered apartment meant I received far fewer of these messages. And the messages I still received were coming from items I had intentionally decided to keep because I felt they still added value to my life. And that was real freedom. It was such a stark contrast with the overwhelm I'd felt in Stage 3. Stage 7. Mindset. After the declutter, I decided to embrace the minimalist lifestyle to maintain a feeling of calm at home. And that meant I had to change my mindset and also some of my habits. Minimalism isn't a one-time thing. Without safeguards, it's easy to fall back into bad habits and accumulate stuff again. And then 6 months later, you're looking around and you're thinking, what happened? It's similar to doing a 6-week weight loss diet. If in week 7 you're going back to your bad habits of drinking lots of sugary drinks and eating a ton of processed foods, you'll regain that weight in no time, and probably some more. So to ensure that didn't happen to me, I took a hard look at how I viewed owning possessions and consuming. And I created some rules to reduce the amount of crap I was buying. The one out, one in rule, which says that if you buy an item, you need to get rid of a similar item you already own. Not buying items on sale that I don't actually need. And when I feel tempted to do an impulse purchase, ask myself in the store, do I really want this? And sometimes I'll even just go home without buying it in the moment and think about it. And then if I really want it, I'll go back to the store to buy it. It's like buying a donut. It's very hard to resist when you're in the donut store. So when you're back home, there's a lot less temptation, and then you can make a clear decision. I also started this YouTube channel to make sure minimalism wasn't going to be a fad in my life. And making videos was also the perfect excuse to educate myself more about minimalism. And I began reading more books. A good one is Essentialism by Craig McEwen. He describes essentialism as the relentless pursuit of less but better. It's not about getting more things done, it's about getting the right things done. I started to realize that minimalism can have a positive impact on my life that extended far beyond decluttering my possessions. Maybe you've heard of the minimalists. They define minimalism as a tool to rid yourself of life success in favor of focusing on what's important, so you can find happiness, fulfillment, and freedom. And Fumio Sasaki writes, "For a minimalist, the objective isn't to reduce, it's to eliminate distractions so they can focus on the things that are truly important. Minimalism is a tool to clear the canvas and make it white again. But the end goal isn't to have a blank canvas. It's about what comes next, what you're going to paint or draw on that canvas, but this time with intention." So I ask myself, what kind of life do I want to live? Stage 8. Expansion. I realized that time is my most valuable asset. It's non-renewable and you can't buy more of it. So I started to think, what parts of my life can I declutter to free up more of my time? An obvious area was my digital life. I organized my files on my laptop and Google Drive and basically stopped using social media. We've all read about the negative effects of excessive social media use, from playing the comparison game to social anxiety and low self-esteem. But I don't need studies to confirm that. I know from my own experience that if I spend hours on social media and I then put my phone away, I feel empty, drained. I don't feel inspired. The same applies to checking the news daily, which I've cut back on significantly. When you watch the news at night, the anchor will start by saying with a serious tone, "Good evening." But then he will continue for 20 minutes telling you why it isn't. So that's not what I want to fill my mental canvas with on a daily basis. I also started to rethink my relationships. Which people do I value the most in my life? And which people in my orbit make me feel uncomfortable, drain my energy, or can only talk about themselves? I also learned to say no more often. I used to be such a yes person, but if I wanted to have more control of my time, I had to master the art of saying no. As Thomas Bragg of Yes Theory said in an interview with Colin and Samir.
We had a friend who said, when you do say no, you say no here, but you say yes to yourself. And I think we talked about that as well.
We did.
Yeah, and I think that's a really powerful thing to remember.
Stage 9. Integration. I've been a minimalist for about 5 years now, and although the excitement has faded somewhat, the value remains. One thing I've realized is that there's no single set of rules for minimalism. Contrary to what you may see online, it's definitely not just an aesthetic. I believe anyone can benefit from minimalism, regardless of what their home or life looks like. As cliché as it sounds, it's about the journey, not the destination. And I like being on this minimalist journey. Your journey may look different than mine. What I'm sharing today is definitely not meant as an instruction manual for how to be a minimalist. You may have fewer stages or may experience more stages. Some stages may be different. And if they are, I'd actually love to hear about it. So please leave a comment in the comment section below. Minimalism doesn't have an end goal for me. I'm not perfect, I still make mistakes, but now at least I have minimalist principles in the back of my mind that help me handle them. For example, I've realized that less is more, but only to a certain degree. There's a tipping point beyond which this no longer holds true for me. When I decluttered my apartment, I had less stuff, and that made me feel lighter. Everything just felt better. So I naturally wondered, what would happen if I pushed that to the extreme? Does that increase my happiness? So not too long ago, I tried it. I put it to the test. I lived like an extreme minimalist for 7 days. But it turned out it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. If you're curious about what that experience was like, I made a video about that, which you can watch right here. So thanks for watching today's video. I hope you got some value out of it, and I'd love to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.